I'm going to turn it over to the past master himself here, Clayton, to talk about the metrics that matter and how they evolve as the company evolves.
Yeah, so thanks, Anthony. So this will come as no surprise to anybody on this call, but every business is different, and everybody has their sort of favored metrics and the things they want to focus on at different times. But as you can see here, as indicated by the arrow, there are things that make more sense at your level, based on your level of maturity. If we think of the arrow as level of maturity of your business, there are certain things that just matter more and are more relevant at different times. So as an example, if you start in the bottom left over there, product market fit, that's what you're all about in the early days, trying to make sure you've got a product people pay for in a market that's big enough to support a business. Cash burn and runway, like Anthony said earlier, sales, we said sales and what? Sales
and cash, followed by cash and sales.
That's it, yeah, sales and cash, followed by cash and sales, exactly right. So cash burn runway, number of customers, and new and total ARR. Those are ARR, categories of ARR are important here too, I would also assert, but I'd also say the categories of ARR and the momentum of your ARR and the trends and velocities in those numbers month over month over month are extremely relevant down here in the early days. Quite possibly we could go toe to toe, and yeah, I'm sure you could find somebody that disagrees, but I would say that's possibly the most important bits to be looking at in the early days is your trends and velocities and your ARR momentum. Then as you kind of evolve a bit, you're starting to focus on repeatable, on scaling your sales and everything like that. Net new ARR and all your pipeline metrics become a big focus, especially if you're going to go out and do things like raise some money at any stage here, Series A, seed, whatever. You're going to be answering questions about your pipeline metrics and marketing funnels and things like that, because investors want to know, if we put money into this thing, what comes out of it, right? That's why funnels are such a good metaphor for the way people think about these things. So pipeline metrics and your churn and retention rates, obviously any investor would be hesitant to dump a bunch of money into something that is churning out customers and churning out dollars left and right. CAC and LTV to CAC. CAC is massively important. I would say there's no point in your evolution as a business that you don't want to know what it costs to acquire a customer. It's sometimes potentially more important in your investor discussions or your board discussions at various points on the spectrum, but it's always important. LTV to CAC, cash projections, always want to know what your runway is, and your ACV per customer. That makes a lot of sense here in the middle. And as you get on the farther right there, scaling the business, your sales department, sales processes and team evolves, and MQL, the SQL and Closed, all that kind of stuff, that starts to show up a little bit more strongly. Win rates by rep. Are we getting, do we have a territory problem? Do we have a rep problem? Do we have a training problem? What is it? What are these things what are these potential win rates telling us? New ARR by rep, ACV growth, expansion and contraction. That's a big one too. Again, I consider that a category of ARR that even all the way back on the left in the very early days. Personally, that's just, again, we all have favored metrics. I personally want to know what my expansion and contraction ARR is month over month against trends and velocities, net revenue retention, and rule of 40. Rule of 40 here is pretty cool. But rule of 40 in the very early days, you could make the argument that it's not so applicable. So again, it's the reason we have this on a continuum here is because there are things that just matter more based on the phase you're in. As an example, LTV to CAC. In the very early days, it's kind of interesting to focus on lifetime value, but it could also be misplaced. If you haven't had enough renewal cycles to really have a glimpse as to what your kind of customer tenure is, then ARR momentum is more relevant, more valid than LTV and all the things that kind of come with it in those various stages.